All right, everyone. So this is a pretty crazy Ric Flair story. He said this: I went in for a test and the doctor told me, "You've had a heart attack in the last 2 years." I didn't even know, Flair admitted. So look, Ric Flair is one of those guys that, the guy's he just never really retires. He continues to wrestle, and everyone's just like, how the hell is he still doing it at this age? And how the hell is this something that happens? You have a heart attack and you never even had a clue that you had a heart attack. He's just a one of a kind guy. There's no other way to say it. Like, there's nothing else you could say about it. He's a one of a kind dude that he just is a tank that keeps moving. He can keep wrestling. He could do, I guess now I think he's finally not going to keep wrestling. I think he's finally kind of retired from in-ring competition. But this guy is just a legend in the business, and there's no other way to look at it. I mean, he had his big retirement, obviously from WWE, but he continued to wrestle in places, and the guy had a heart attack and had no clue he even had it. Thought it was absolutely shocking. So thank you all for watching. All right, everyone. So Rey Mysterio said this about Penta during an interview with Adrian Hernandez of Unlikely. Most definitely, yes to both questions. That is a match that I definitely would love to have. I had it in AAA. I had it in Lucha Underground. I would love to have it once again here in WWE. Is he a world champion caliber? Of course he is. I think he proved it from the moment he stepped in here. He already has his fan base, not to mention what he's going to accumulate in the next plus years. Whenever he decides to end his career, it's going to end here. Once you're here, you can't go anywhere else. This is it. This is home. I look forward to seeing his destiny. I'm excited for him. I can't wait to step in the ring and have a singles match with him or if we team up. So I love this. Rey Mysterio, he's just one of the all time greats. And I don't necessarily know, like if people nowadays understand how big of a star Rey Mysterio was, like in the early 2000s to mid 2010s to even when he was in WCW. Like he obviously had his moments in the main event scene, but he was one of those guys that people were just like, I just love watching him. He was the guy that people would get hyped for. And obviously it's not quite the same now. He's not quite on the same level that he was back then, but he's getting older, and that makes complete sense. And I would love to see this. Give Rey Mysterio a huge match against Penta. I think people would be overjoyed to see it. Penta is phenomenal in the ring. Rey Mysterio remains phenomenal in the ring. Let's do it. Let's get this thing done. And hey, even the little tag team thing you mentioned, I don't hate that either. The tag team division can use some more, good tag teams, and this one could be pretty good. So thank you all for watching. All right, everyone. So Undertaker was the guest of Vince McMahon at the Super Bowl. He talked about this on the Busted Open After Dark. Here's what he said. I was his guest. Yeah, look, I'm going to get hate for that. People are like, oh, you guys were so close. You know what happened? I'm like, I don't know what hasn't been done. We don't talk about those things, but he is a friend of mine. First off, he gave me an opportunity to make something of myself and become something. Through the course of all those years, we became friends. After my father passed away, he was a father figure, he was a brother, he was a mentor. I don't know everything that's happened, what's gone on, and I'm not the judge on this case. There's only one judge, that's the man upstairs. He's going to give us all whatever we deserve in the end, and that's what it is. And I think people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. I don't have to agree with everything that people do, but it doesn't change the fact that I love somebody and I'm friends with somebody. So, the bottom line here, obviously, the allegations against McMahon are horrific and they're terrible, and there's no really disputing that. But I think Undertaker makes the point of, hey, there's one judge, which is God, and he's not privy to everything that happened. He doesn't know everything that happened, and so don't put your anger onto Undertaker. He's not being accused of doing anything here. He was the guest of Vince McMahon at the Super Bowl, and so let these investigations go through. We'll see what the findings are. I know one of them, I guess, was shut down, but I can't track all of them. There's all of them are going down. Some of them end up, like being shut down, but then there's still other ones that are alive. So hopefully we get to we get to find the truth in whatever that investigation finds, and hopefully it's not something where that gets shut down as well. But at this point, all we can go off is what's going on with these investigations. So you could think Vince McMahon's, the worst thing in the world. You can have your hate for him, but The Undertaker going to, the Super Bowl with him, I don't think that's deserving of any real hate. And I do think, the way Undertaker views it, saying, hey, in the end, everybody gets what they deserve. I think that's a good way to look at it. Right, everyone. So Rob Van Dam revealed that he was insulted by this title win while he was in WWE. This is from Inside the Ropes Wrestling. One WWE Hall of Famer admits his ego took a hit on a monumental night. At ECW One Night Stand in 2006, Rob Van Dam faced off against John Cena for the WWE Championship. Fans were firmly in Van Dam's corner, famously throwing Cena's t shirts back to him and holding signs that said, "If Cena wins, we riot." The bout ended in controversy after interference from Edge caused referee Nick Patrick to be knocked out. Paul Heyman ran in and counted to three and awarded Van Dam the win. While Van Dam was eventually determined to be the true champion, he admitted on a recent episode of One of a Kind that the victory was tainted for him in the moment, as he would have preferred a definitive victory over Cena on the night. Here's what he said: "I understand now the bigger picture of everything because that's what you do when you're older. But this night, I would have rather had Edge didn't come out. I would have rather just beaten him by myself. I felt a little insulted. I just felt like this was another thing where they didn't trust ECW or thought that ECW needed some more. So my ego was a little bit taken back by that." So yeah, I mean, you understand why, right? Rob Van Dam, one of these big ECW stars, and you only get the win when everybody wants you to win because of an interference from Edge. But it kind of built, right? It kind of built a bigger rivalry there. And so you understand why WWE wanted it done one way and why Rob Van Dam wanted it done one way. And it's, this is why this is why the wrestling business can be so tough, because there really is no perfect option. There really is no perfect option. When you're just a wrestler, you're thinking about it from your own standpoint, right? You're thinking about it of what is best for my character. When you're in Vince's shoes, you're thinking about it from the business. You're saying, what is best for the business? And you're trying to weigh all of these different factors to see what happens and see what would come out to be the best. And sometimes you make good decisions, sometimes you make bad decisions, but it's a lot that has to be taken into account. And that's what makes it so tough, because Rob Van Dam, he feels a certain way about this now. And at the time, that's something Vince has to factor in, but he also has to factor in, well, what does this do for the championship long term? What does this do for Cena long term? And things like that. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time. All right, everyone. So on Chris Van Fleet, Michelle McCool, the wife of the Undertaker, revealed one thing that made her upset that Vince said. Here's what she said: "That's touchy. Yeah, that's rough. Look, Mark has been in the ring with broken everythings. He's been in there with fractured eye sockets finishing matches. He's been in there concussed before finishing matches. It's not like he's ever going to not tell the truth about how he feels or what's happened or anything. We were all right there in the hospital in the waiting room. And the first guy that read his x rays came out and told me that he's broken his neck. I was like, oh man, to this point, he's been having surgery a year, basically, and rehabbing and coming back from Mania. So they tell me his neck's broken. Then they tell me his back's broken. I'm like, holy crap, it's way worse than I ever even thought. Second guy that came out said, and he says his neck is not broken and his back's been broken for years. Okay, well, not sure that makes me feel much better, but good, I guess. Then the whole night in the hospital, like I said, till 4 a.m., Undertaker says, babe, what's my name? I'm like, I'm not cheating for you on this. Like, no way, babe, where are we at? I'm like, no, I can't help you. So that was a rough night. So to see it, if anybody says or takes it anything less than what it was, that's hard. That hurts. So she was talking about in the Mr. McMahon docu-series when um, basically Vince McMahon was kind of like, I don't know if he was actually concussed that night or if he was just in shock because of the, you know, um, losing of the streak. And you can get why Michelle would be like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, I understand that was a crazy moment, right? That had to be an emotional moment for Undertaker, and he said that. But the idea that Vince, would be like, yeah, maybe that was it. Maybe he wasn't actually concussed, when you could just look on the Undertaker's face and be like, okay, this guy was in some serious, serious pain. You could see why she'd be a little bit upset with that. So thank you all for watching. All right, everyone. So Bully Ray had some interesting things to say about Seth Rollins on Busted Open Radio. Here's what he said. Last night I was tutoring a wrestling student, and this wrestler asked me, would Seth Rollins be as over without the music? What do you think the answer was? It's not a personal thing. Seth Rollins is a phenomenal professional wrestler in the ring. Seth is one of the best. But this song is starting to wear thin. If you take the song away, you have to take the outfits away because the outfits doesn't match without the song. It's kind of like a package. So when you strip it down, what do you have left? If you want to know if you're loved, if you want to know if you're hated, walk to the ring with no music and go stand in the middle of the ring and don't do anything and then listen, see how they respond. So I love a lot of what Bully Ray says. I really do. I'm completely on the other side of this one, though. I completely disagree with this. I think Seth Rollins, like this idea that a certain superstar is only over because of his music or his outfits. It's like, well, that's part of the character. I mean, That's like saying, "Well, Jey Uso is only over because of the Yeet." It's like, well, yeah, but that's part of his character, and that's, the biggest part. That's the draw. Or, Steve Austin is only over because of Austin 316. Well, yeah, at the beginning, right? That was the big moment that set him going, or the glass breaking. You hear that and okay, it's Steve. I think Seth Rollins is, I think the truth of this, when you're reading what Bully Ray is saying here, to me, he's just missing the mark a little bit. The truth is that Seth Rollins is in a unfortunate situation of there are so many really big time main eventers that sometimes he gets pushed to the side. Even in the WrestleMania main event last year, he was a big part of one of them. But then when it was Cody versus Roman, he was still involved and he was doing it for the company, even with the injury. But he wasn't the main attraction. And in a lot of eras in WWE history, he might have been that main attraction. He might have been the guy that was main eventing at that point in WrestleMania, right at that spot. So I think that's the truth here. It's not about would he be over without the music. The fans love Seth. They absolutely love him, and he's always exciting when he comes out. But when you have the type of talent they have at the top of WWE, when you have CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, John Cena now, I mean, just go down the list. Well, there's only so much room. There's only so much room for everybody. And sometimes guys like Seth are getting pushed to, like, instead of being 1A, they're being put at 1B. And I think that's kind of maybe what Bully Ray and this person he was talking to, the wrestling student he was tutoring, maybe that's what they mean by that. Is it just feels like Seth Rollins is this massive star, but it's not always a massive star payout on some of these matches. But put in the comment section below what you think. I just disagree that this is some, like I just think Seth Rollins is as over as you could be, and the outfits and the music, that plays a big part. All right, everyone. So former WWE writer Vince Russo said CM Punk should win the chamber. Here's what he said. Punk looked straight into the camera and told us for weeks and weeks that he was winning the Royal Rumble and going to WrestleMania. He didn't win the Royal Rumble. Now he's doing the same thing all over again. I think he is winning the Elimination Chamber because I have said for many reasons, man, Punk is getting older. Punk is injury prone. Either he headlines this WrestleMania or he never headlines WrestleMania, and the joke's on him. The way he keeps talking about it, I'm going to win this. When he said the same thing about Royal Rumble, I hope you know you're going to win this, bro. Otherwise, you're just going to keep losing a lot of credibility. So, for starters, Vince Russo, I don't necessarily know what he's talking about here in the sense this happens every single year, thousands of times on wrestling all across the globe. You have a match, and the people that are in the match say, "We're going to win this match," and then they may not end up winning the match. Like, I don't think anyone looks at that and goes, "Man, Punk said he was going to win and he lost." That takes credibility from him. I disagree with that. I do agree in a sense that CM Punk is getting older, and he is someone who hasn't main evented WrestleMania, and that being the case, the clock is ticking on it. But CM Punk also, he is wrestling almost all the time. He's on TV almost all the time, and he's able to put up with it. He's able to keep up with the schedule. So I don't know if it has to be this year, and I definitely don't think that WWE can make decisions based off that. If the goal here is, hey, we have to get CM Punk a main event at WrestleMania, you could do that in a million and one ways without having to force it this year. Let's say he, knock on wood, God forbid, he suffered some kind of injury, which let's hope it doesn't happen like last year. But let's say that happened. Well, if it was the case where he's like, man, I don't know, I have like one match left in me, they could set something up where they have that kind of farewell tour for CM Punk and they do a one match at WrestleMania and people would buy into that. So I don't think you should rush it just based on that. I think you want to main event WrestleMania and CM Punk wants to main event WrestleMania like in CM Punk fashion where the fans want it in that scenario, right? Not just something that's forced together. It's something that actually matters, like something that actually has good build and makes sense. And we'll see if he ends up main eventing. He could still win the chamber. I'm skeptical that he wins the chamber. I do think it's probably going to end up being John. It feels to me like that's what they're building towards, but I wouldn't be shocked if it was CM Punk either. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.